What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here at TCGU University for our Femme Fatale tournament. I played Mileena under Void. I thought she was super fun, super cool, and I had a blast making her. So let's just get right into the deck. So today we're playing Mileena under Void. She's a 7-hander with 21 life. Each effect is playable once per turn. She's got an R to where we can lose 3 life to discard a random card from our opponent's hand. She got an Enhance where we can pay 2 life to give +2 or -2 speed, and then +2 to our next check to play a card. And then she has a Desperation response. After our opponent plays an attack, it gains Flash. She's really cool. Ripping cards out of our opponent's hand, confirming checks, giving speed, and giving an attack Flash. It's really good. Very understandable why all her effects are once per turn. So we'll start with the assets and then actions. I'm playing one Surpass Your Limits. I think this card's really good for the deck because we're playing Quest for Vengeance, and that says -3 to our opponent's check with this R, Destroy. After you block an opponent's attack, it gets their next check to play an attack gets -X. X equals the block mod of our block. Super cool because we can pay 2 life with Mileena to give -2 speed, and then we can give +2 to our check, and then we can basically block anything. It's super nice. But it has an Enhance where we can flip 1 foundation to give our attack +1 damage or -2 damage. And then once per turn, we can look at the top card of our deck and discard it. This card's really sweet. Shoutouts. Playing 2 TCGU. We should be playing 3 or 4 of these just because it's a great way for our deck to get damage, but both of the enhances are twice per turn. We can either give our attack +2 to its stun rating, or if it's a 3 damage attack, we can ready a foundation and then give it +3 damage. This card is really good. It's one of the best assets from SoulCal. So on to the actions, we're playing 8. I'm playing 2 Fade. It's a 3/4 R after your opponent plays a card. Not as a block, we cancel its effects, and then we put it back in their hand, so they'll have to recheck. So if they have to tap 2 to check it, then we'll bounce it again, and then they have to think if they want to actually try and keep going with a chance of checking bad, or they might not check bad. Then it has a Desperation Enhance. Remove our next check to play a card gets +3, which is cool. It didn't come up, but the first effect definitely did. Playing 2 Fight Like You Mean It. Since we're playing a Void Shanghua package, we're going to stun out our opponent a lot. So this Enhance is really good. Remove if our stun or weapon attack is not blocked. My next attack gets +4 damage and unblockable, which is super, super sweet. And then R remove after our opponent plays an action or a stun ability, we can make him discard a card. That effect is cool, but it wasn't too relevant. We're just using it for if it's not blocked, our next one's unblockable. Then we're playing 4 Revoke. We're just R. After our opponent plays an enhanced ability, we're going to cancel it. And it's going to help us build with its first form. Under the attacks. Playing 2 Shirai Ryukan. This combo enhances, we can add a card from our discard pile to the top of our deck and give +3 damage or +3 speed to this. So we can either confirm our check, or we can try and draw a card. And then we can stack an attack and then draw it, which is super sweet. And then its Deadlock combo enhances, this attack gets stun 2, which is cool. So 4 high for 3. With a high block, and then the opposite of that card is Takeda's Kunai, which is a 4 low for 3 with a 1 low block. Its combo enhances, this card gets +2 damage and then stun 2. And then its Deadlock enhance is super sweet, which actually came up a couple of times. It gets +1 speed for each of my opponent's committed foundations. And like I said, we're already going to try and commit our opponent out a lot, so this attack can get really, really fast. So it's a really good card. This is a really good card if they're in Deadlock to use Fight Like You Mean It, because there's no way they're blocking this unless they have a Nightmare Tears. We're playing 2 Silverminting Blade. I was thinking about playing a third one, but the 2 check was killing me in practice. But it's a 5 mid for 3. Its enhances, I can use other printed 3 damage attacks as multiple copies for this, and then I can enhance discard momentum to commit one of my opponent's cards in their commit a foundation in their staging area, or I can give this attack stun 3. With TCGU, that's stun 5, which is super insane. And then we just multiple, and we do big damage. Super sweet. I like this card in this list a lot. We're playing 4 Meiguehua. It's a 3 mid for 3 with a static of our printed 3 damage attacks get +1 to speed and +1 damage. And its enhances, I can add a copy of Meiguehua from my discard pile to my card pool. So this and Supplementing Blade is just a 4 mid for 4, and then it's going to be a 7 mid for 5, and then it'll be a 5 mid for 3 and a 5 mid for 3. Just off of just this, adding a Meiguehua in, and then the Supplementing Blade, which is super sweet. And that's why we're playing for this, because it just fuels the Supplementing Blade without us having to have a lot of attacks. And then I think the best attack in the deck is Lower Great Wall. I think this is her best card, arguably next to TCGU. but it's a 4 mid for 3. It's got safe, stun 2, weapon, and it's got combo, so all the keywords you could almost ever want. And its combo enhances plus 3 damage, which is super sweet. So it's a 4 mid for 6, and then like with Mileena, we can make it a 6 mid for 6, plus 2 to our next check. Super sweet. And then the last deck we're playing, not like a finisher, but I wanted something that like could give damage, especially since Mileena can already give speed. So we're playing 3 Sagaki Offering. Its enhances we can check a 4 to draw a card, or we can discard a card from our opponent's card pool to give plus X to this attack, equal to the printed block mod. So if like we rip really good block mods out of our opponent's hand, they're going to have to use poor block mods, or people just tend to use poor block mods first, so that when they use their good block mod, they can have like an easier time checking it. And this just rips that out of the card pool to give like +2/+2, which is really good. So like with its effect of Mileena for 2, this is a 7 high for 8, which is super sweet. And then like with Fight Like You Mean It, it could be a 7 high for like 12. I thought this card was really cool in the list. And then onto the foundations, I just have them sorted by difficulty. Playing 2 Profane Sanctuary, our flip after our opponent plays a breaker ability, we can cancel it, and then once per turn, me and my opponent can both mill 2. That's pretty good spam under the void symbol. 3 Quest for Vengeance. Like I said, this is why we were playing Surpass Your Limits, because this has a 3 low block. It says our card pool. After I block with this card, my opponent discards 1 card. And with Mileena, we're already ripping a card out of their hand the first time they play an attack, or maybe even the second or third time, just depending on when we feel like Mileenaing. So this just helps rip a bunch of our cards out of our opponent's hand, so they can't block us on our turn, and their turn ends faster. Since we're playing Mileena, and I mean we're a 21 life Desperation character, we're playing 4 Uniting Rebels. It's a 0/6 Desperation once per turn, gain a life. This card's super standard, super needed for her. If you're not playing 4 of it in your Mileena deck, I think you're crazy, but I don't know, we'll see. Playing 3 Desperate for Redemption. I actually super like this card in this deck because we flip a lot of foundations, and then like it's really nice to build a revoke on turn 1, because it's like we review a revoke and then we just get to hold it later. After this card enters our staging area, we can take a foundation in our staging area and add it back to our hand. So we can first form with revoke on our first turn, and then our second turn, if we need to keep building, we can build into Deadlock and then use this to bounce the revoke back to our hand. So we'll have a revoke on our opponent's offensive turn or for our offensive turn. And then this is commit, flip, unflip a foundation, and then my attack is +2 damage, and my opponent can flip a foundation to cancel it. If your opponent doesn't flip a foundation to cancel this card is super nuts. It unflips a lot of great cards in our deck, and you'll see. And then the other one that we're playing pretty low on the ones. We're playing 3 Feifei. This just helps block, so I don't have to pay 2 with Mileena on my opponent's turn most of the time. It's just flip for -3 speed. Playing 1 Damnation to cancel a foundation enhance, super standard. Under Void or Evil. We're playing 2 Wearlight. This is like Void and Chaos's way of being able to like flash or like high season attack. We enhance, choose a printed ability on one of our opponent's foundations, and then they have to use that enhance or pass. So most likely they'll pass, and then we'll just pass, so then the attack goes through. And then on our attack, we can commit to discard 1 card from our opponent's card pool. It doesn't come up, but it's definitely a very good effect on this card. Playing 2 Outworld's Eris. Enhance, remove, lose X Vitality to add an asset or a foundation from our opponent's staging area back to their hand, and we lose X life equal to its printed difficulty. This being able to bounce assets is actually just insane, so that's why we're playing 2 of it. I didn't feel like I had a lot of problems with foundations. And then we can R lose X Vitality after an attack with the stun keyword is played. We can give -X to its stun rating, so we can just lose life instead of getting stunned out. Playing 2 Elimination Mode. I probably should have been playing 2 or 3 or 4 of these. R commit after a player discards a card due to an effect, not as cost. I draw a card just by committing it. This card was super nice, super good. It clutched me a lot of games. Playing 2 Round 1 Fight. We're using it obviously for the Mortal Kombat Enhance R move. After our opponent plays an attack that shares a name with an attack that's been previously played this turn, we remove it and this. And then the Deadlock enhances our attack. Our opponent loses 1 Vitality. That's why we're playing Fades, is because we'll boink flip that card back to their hand, and then if they want to play it again, they'll have to remove it. And then also just says that like Goro can't play like 2 missile launchers against us and beat us, or stuff like that. This card has a lot of random utility, especially against like combo decks. Playing 3 Season Guide. This helps confirm our checks, and then on top of the fact that this card doesn't count towards progressive difficulty. Our card pool after an attack is played to reveal the top card of our deck. So it'll help me determine like when I should Mileena for plus speed and plus to my next check, or if I like am about to draw a card. This card just has a lot of decent utility in our deck, and plus it helps our build turns. This was my favorite foundation, I believe, by far, though. I think even over the Redemption. 3 noteworthy opponent. So, I liked this card a lot because Make Way Hua has 4 keywords. And this effect is Enhance Flip, discard a card. This attack gets +1 or -1 damage for each of the printed keyword on the discarded card. And if the discarded card was a stun or a weapon, we draw a card. So any attack that we discard off this, we get to draw a card because all our attacks are weapons or stuns. And then with Make Way Hua, it's just like a insane value because we can play 1 Make Way Hua from our hand. And then we can use Noteworthy Opponent to discard another Make Way Hua to give +4 damage, draw a card. Then we can use our Make Way Hua to put that Make Way Hua we just discarded back into the card pool, and then we'll get +1/+1. Super sweet. And then like we can use Mileena for speed, and like that Make Way Hua is going to do a lot of damage, and it's probably going to get through. That's why I really like this card, and it's also one of a great card to unflip off of Desperate for Redemption. Playing 3 Maternal Swordsmanship. Enhance Flip, ready a foundation that hasn't been ready this turn, and then if the current attack has printed 3 damage, I can give +2 speed or +2 damage. This helps our combo turn, this helps get attacks through, and it helps secure damage. This card does a lot for the Void symbol. Obviously, since we're playing Mileena, we should play her best foundation. We're playing 4 Face of a Monster, each affects once per turn. After an attack is played, I can give -1 speed, and then I can lose a life to give it another -1 speed. Deadlock form, make our opponent discard a card, which is super nuts. Nobody ever wants to build into deadlock when they see this card. It's very rare. And then Desperation Enhances, we can change the zone of an attack to any other zone besides it's printed. This card's really sweet because a lot of our stuff is like mid, but we can just like flood a zone if we have a bunch of Face of Monsters, which is super sweet. We can just chuck a bunch of highs if we've seen our opponent build a lot of highs. This card's just really good in Mileena. And then the last foundation we're playing is 2 Quests for the Hero Sword. Sometimes I had a problem finding attacks, and this just helped with that. Enhance Commit Flip, add an attack with printed 3 damage from your discard pile to our hand. It was a 4 check, but it's also, since it flips, it's also a really great card to unflip off Desperate for Redemption, or just to bounce it off Desperate for Redemption. And then this just adds more fodder for Noteworthy Opponent, or for our kill turns. This card was very good, and then since it commits itself, we can ready it with Krita Yuga, or we can ready it with Maternal Swordsmanship. Super good. So yeah, guys, that was my Mileena deck under Void for our Femme Fatale tournament. You guys will see that tournament series soon. You can find it on Patreon for the week early access, just $1 or higher tier. We got a bunch of cool tiers coming out for you guys. Go ahead and check those out. And then we also will have them on YouTube a week after that. And then for that, you can click the bell to see notifications, or you can like, subscribe, share. Show your friends, show your mom. Just show us some love. We'll show you guys some love. But other than that, thank you very much for your time. Stay learn. All for the moms, dude.